Today, I want to welcome Daniel Machado. He is the Upper Deck Senior Manager of the direct-to-consumer platforms, including the Upper Deck ePack platform. Throughout his career, he's been involved in a variety of UD licenses from NHL to Marvel to 20th Century Fox. Welcome, Daniel.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate you having me on.
No problem. I'm glad we get a chance to connect and talk a little bit about what's going on inside Upper Deck. Over the last 7 years or so, you've developed a broad base of industry experiences. And I was curious as we start the conversation, were you involved in the hobby prior to graduating from college and joining Upper Deck?
I was, yeah. So as a kid, was definitely a collector. Started, buying baseball cards to start, and eventually, as my interest in different sports and different areas expanded, so did the collecting. So started off buying baseball, eventually moved into hockey and football, a little bit of basketball too. Some of the non-sports like entertainment trading cards and collectible gaming cards. So that was definitely interested in collecting growing up. Probably shied away from it a bit in high school and college, but it was always, an interest of mine. So when I was graduating, I wanted to, get back into collecting and get into the industry. And so, that was definitely a goal. Leaving college was to get some sort of career going in the industry and collecting. So it was a no-brainer to apply for Upper Deck, and took an internship about 6.5 years ago. And here we are now. Time's flown, but it's happy I made that choice, and it's been an awesome time.
Yeah, that's awesome. And a story that we hear a lot from a variety of collectors, right, is it seems like almost, or I should say not almost everybody, but the vast majority of us collectors took some kind of break there in our high school and college years. And then the bug still had us, though, and we returned to the hobby. Some of us as collectors and content creators, and then some of us in the actual industry working for a manufacturer like yourself. So thanks for sharing a little bit about that. One of the things that I want to make sure we hit on, and it fits right into some of your main job responsibilities at Upper Deck, is the ePack platform. It's been around since the 2015-2016 season, I believe. That's when I first noticed it as a user of ComC. But there may be some collectors out there who aren't very familiar with what the ePack platform is. I've heard some people talk about it and maybe have some misconceptions about what the ePack platform is. So can you give us an overview of what ePack is all about?
Yeah, absolutely. So ePack launched back in 2016, I believe in January, like you said, with the release of 15-16 UD Series 1 hockey. And it's a place where collectors can purchase and open packs of Upper Deck trading cards from anywhere, at any time. So you can be anywhere in the globe, and as long as you've got access to either a computer, a mobile device, and internet, you can go on, see what packs we've got available, purchase those packs, and then instantly open those to see exactly what you got in the packs. And then from there, you can manage your entire collection digitally. So I can go through, see everything I got in those packs, sort my collection by player, by product, by team. In any way you want to really manipulate that collection, sort it, you can see it there. The really cool part is that ePack allows you to connect with a bunch of different collectors with different interests across the globe. So, I could open my Series 1 hockey packs and, trade some of those cards to collector across the country, across the globe that's interested in some of the cards that I pulled that, may not fit into my collection or may not be a player or team that I collect. So ePack, not only makes it really easy to get access to Upper Deck product, but makes it really easy to connect with other collectors and make trades, really fill out your collection and build your sets. And the really cool part is that, majority of these cards on the site are physical cards. I know that's a common misconception. It's called ePack, so all these cards have got to be e-cards and digital, right? So other than maybe the base set cards, which are typically digital, usually the inserts and chase cards are all physical. So while I can still manage that in my collection digitally and trade those cards instantly with other collectors, eventually I can have those cards shipped home to me. So, when I've decided I'm done, interacting with a card or something on my collection, I can actually have that card shipped home to me. our shipping and storage is fulfilled by check out my cards, column C. So it makes it really easy to get those physical cards shipped home. And, you can enjoy both the digital and physical aspects of collecting. So, those are the primary kind of aspects of ePack that make it really unique. Some other things you can do on there are, earn different achievements. So there's going to be some cards that you can't pull out of packs on ePack or in hobby or retail or anything like that. The only way to get these cards is to go on ePack and complete what we call different achievements. So usually it's, collect this particular set and you can get this achievement card, which, opens up some different opportunities for trading and collecting, and then provides some sort of reward or incentive at the end of the day that, is an added bonus for completing some of those sets. And then with a lot of those sets, we also have what we call our combining or stacking parallel achievements. So UD Series Hockey, for example, if you get 10 copies of a digital base set card and you combine those, essentially destroy those, morph those, you get an exclusive parallel card, physical parallel card of that card that you could have shipped home. So we've definitely seen popularity and interest in those cards grow over the years as more people have become familiar with the program and ePack itself and have seen, how beautiful some of these cards can be in hand. So I think that gives a pretty good snapshot of what ePack has to offer in a few minutes. But as you dive into the platform, you can really see like everything that the site has to offer, all of the opportunities.
Yeah, I think that's one of the misconceptions that a lot of people have, right, is based on the name ePack. They think it's just purely digital, but really it's one of the first combinations that we saw several years ago where it's combining both the digital aspect of opening a product online, but having a physical product to actually take possession of at some point through the fulfillment through ComSeat. The other piece with that is if you don't want to have it shipped home, right, you can relist it for sale on ComSeat and use their marketplace to sell the doubles or the extra products that you may not want to have shipped home. And so it's kind of built-in integration of integrating both the ePack marketplace or the ePack community to be able to trade amongst fellow collectors on the ePack platform with an actual secondary marketplace on ComSeat for those cards that you don't want to have shipped home. And I also like that you called out the standard base cards aren't typically going to be part of what's available in many of the ePack products, but you can consolidate those digital base cards into a physical parallel. In the hockey side of things, it's a rainbow foil parallel. There's some different things with some of the other products as well. So yeah, it's a pretty cool concept, especially for people who don't live in an area that has a strong LCS presence. It still allows them to open some hobby product from wherever they are, like you said, anywhere around the world. The digital side, I wanted to touch on something else. The digital side, or maybe I should say that the pre-transfer side of the site has a life of its own. There's the boards, the achievements that you talked on. How does the development of that community over these last 5 or 6 years, how does that compare to what you expected early on when you first launched ePack?
I wasn't around for the first launch. I kind of came in probably 6 months, a year after it was launched, but it's pretty amazing to see where ePack is today. Just the number of collectors that are on the site, the number of unique collectors on the site, from different areas, different walks of life, like all different ages. I don't think I would have ever expected to see quite what ePack's expanded to. And the same with some of the product offerings. When it started, it was, hockey, and we had a Marvel Masterpieces product on the site. And now you go on and there's a plethora of hockey products available. Marvel products, are starting to add more to the catalog now. And then you can see some other unique licenses, like AEW's got a great presence now. There's some other, entertainment and sports licenses, and even non-sports with how big Goodwin Champions and Skybox Metal Universe Champions have become. I think it's, somewhat surprising, but awesome to see the growth that we've experienced on ePack over the last few years.
Do you have a general feel for how many of the products that are opened on ePack ultimately get transferred over to ComC versus how many stay within that ePack kind of universe or the pre-transfer atmosphere?
Yeah, I think it would be tough to generalize it. It's so different depending on the product. Like some we see, a number of transfers right out the gate to where collectors are just trying to move their stuff on ComC. And on the other side of it, you've got products from, some of the initial launches of ePack where there's still cards available on the site to be traded for and no one's transferred them yet. So it's cool to see people hanging on to those and even still trading those for newer cards as they get added to the site. I think that's pretty unique that you still have some of that 6, almost 7 years in.
Just to set the maybe to clarify that point, even for those cards that have a physical card, created, but they haven't been transferred to ComC yet for fulfillment, that physical card has already been created, right? It's still sitting someplace ready at the moment that some future owner decides to have it transferred. It's not like you're going back and printing it once that card gets transferred to ComC, correct?
Yeah, exactly. That one, was shipped and scanned in and processed before that product went live, and it hasn't been touched or moved. It may have been traded, 100 times between different collectors, but it hasn't changed physical locations. And if you decided to ship it home, you'd be getting the same card that was pulled by somebody 6, 7 years ago.
And like you kind of walked through a minute ago, we've seen hockey, we've seen Marvel, we've seen other non-sport and multi-sport cards, and now recently we've seen AEW wrestling cards come onto the site. But not every release has an ePack release associated with it. How do you decide what products you're going to include on the ePack platform and which you're going to kind of keep within the traditional distribution channel?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, internally, we don't view ePack as something that's meant to replace the hobby or replace shops. I think we see those coinciding and being complementary to each other. A great point you mentioned earlier is not everybody has access to an LCS, or there may not be one for miles. So ePack is able to fill that gap where if ePack wasn't around, they wouldn't really have a trading card shop to go to or easy access to any Upper Deck product. So that definitely plays a part in deciding on what goes on to ePack and what is left as like a retail or hobby exclusive. I think we've tried to keep shops protected and give them certain products like SP Authentic and the Cup and hockey at least have never had an ePack release. And, that keeps them hobby centered, and the only way you can get those is by going to the hobby shop. So definitely have some options like that. And then as far as what goes on to ePack, it's just a discussion about, what fits the current ePack collector base, what type of product makes sense for the ePack collector base, and, an internal discussion and debate from there on deciding who gets what almost.
You mentioned that you don't view ePack as a replacement for the hobby shop experience or, something like that. And is that why the release dates for products on ePack are later than they are for the kind of standard initial release? It seems like most products, you're going to be able to find them in retail channels or in the hobby shop prior to when they're available on ePack. Is that the reason why?
That's definitely a part of it. I think, like you mentioned, for most releases, you'll see the ePack release date trail the hobby or retail release by, at least 30 to 60 days. And part of that's to give shops and distributors the opportunity to sell through their inventory and their product and get the cards into collectors' hands earlier. Another big part of it is just logistics. Once those cards are packed out at the vendor for any particular product, they're sealing everything up. They're putting the packs in the boxes and the cases and shipping those out. They're simultaneously, taking the ePack portion of the release, packaging that up and shipping it over to ComC. And at that point, ComC's got to take inventory of the cards. They've got to scan and image everything in, take inventory of what they got, and then send us all all that information, and then from there we have to digitally collate the product and build it out and test it before it can be released. So all of that adds additional time to when we can release a particular product. So I think those two together contribute to why you see generally see like around 30 to 60 day minimum delay between the two releases.
That leads me to, or you mentioned something that leads me to another question. How do you decide how much of an overall print run versus ePack?
That's a great question. I think, generally we don't announce how much is split between hobby and ePack, or, how that separation is made, but a lot of it's just demand too. Some products we've seen perform better on the hobby side and vice versa with ePack. So it's really determined product to product and license to license. Really, there's no like magic number of this is going to be the ePack quantity and this is going to be the hobby or retail quantity, and it changes depending on the year.
Yeah, you can definitely tell that there is some adaptation and some change from year to year. Just looking at the quantities available of certain cards and parallels and things like that on ComC, right? There's some years where there's hundreds and hundreds or even over 1,000 of a particular card available. And then other years where that same parallel is maybe only 100 or 200, or something that might be 100. And then that parallel in a future year is only 30 to 50 available. So you can definitely see what appears to be an adjustment of how those products are made available. So appreciate you thinking about that. I figured there had to be some sort of science behind it, right? Some sort of analysis about how much do we want to make available on each platform. So I appreciate you spending a few minutes talking about that. One of the other things that I often get questions about when I'm kind of talking about ePack with other collectors is pricing. It seems like oftentimes that initial pricing seems to be at or below the market rate, or it's released on ePack pretty close to what the MSRP is. But occasionally it develops a little bit of maybe an imbalance. And so over the years, there'll be occasionally some sort of sale or promotion on a different product during a portion of the year that will help move some product. But one example that I wanted to ask about was with this I say most recent, but it's been 9 months or so now, almost a year. The 2021 AEW release, it came out. There's such a hype around that product that it came out both in hobby shops as well as ePack, well above what the MSRP was. And it continues to be that same price on ePack now, almost a year later, while the maybe secondary marketplace and kind of a physical presence has come down quite a bit from that. And so how do you think about, or maybe how do you evaluate if a promotion is warranted to help continue to move a certain product, or adjust maybe to the current market conditions for a product that is made available on ePack?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, like you mentioned in the past, when the price would go out on ePack, it would stay at that price. So regardless of whether the market grew and the price in hobby went up, or if it went down, ePack's always kind of had that consistent price, and that's something we've carried on, since inception. The one area you probably haven't seen quite a while is just different ePack sales beyond some of the grandeur coins and other products, and that may be something that as the market develops and it changes, especially the last year, it's kind of hard to look at the last 2 years and really take anything or make sense of it. But I think as we move forward, you'll probably see some different strategies and some different approaches to sales and promotions with some of the existing products as some of the market cools down and some of the pricing changes over time.
It's one of those things that, like I said, people ask about from time to time, and they wonder kind of what the logic is or what the philosophy is at Upper Deck when it comes to the pricing of those ePack products and the adjustment of prices, along the way. So I appreciate that. Do you guys monitor much the secondary market pricing of some of those singles? I went deep, or I've gone deep into the AEW product via purchases from ComC. I think I'm sitting on around 28,000 AEW wrestling cards that I've purchased via ComC, that are, that came through that ePack process. Some of those that I purchased for, a pretty good chunk of change with some of the limited parallels. And then some, you pick up for pennies, right? Do you guys monitor kind of the secondary market demand for some of those products that are sold via ePack?
I think some of the secondary market, especially on singles, is more closely followed by the product team, just to see, which players are, in the AEW's case, which wrestlers are performing well and which ones collectors are interested in, so they can incorporate that in future products. Same with the product managers, like determining which inserts should return year over year, or, maybe a new concept didn't stick. And while it's kind of rare, the value just wasn't there. So it makes more sense to replace that with a different theme, or, kind of adjust from there. So if anyone in the upper deck was probably paying more attention to those secondary market values, it'd be the product team taking a look at that for future content, trying to improve the product.
And then that's probably not unique to ePack, right? They're monitoring that both on traditional channels on eBay and hobby shops and card shows and things like that, as well as what's available on ePack. Is that accurate?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're always busy watching the breaks and keeping up with just overall feedback towards the products. I mean, like I talked about being a collector, these guys have been collectors for years and years. So they're not only invested in the industry, but invested specifically in their own products. They love to see those perform well and succeed. So they keep an eye on everything like that, just to make it as good as they can.
I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about one of the more recent additions to your direct-to-consumer lineup, and that's Collect Forever. And it recently rolled out on the ePack platform, or has a direct connection to the ePack platform. Tell me a little bit about what Collect Forever is.
Absolutely. So Collect Forever is a direct-to-consumer platform that's a single sign-on with ePack. So if you've got an ePack account, you automatically have access to Collect Forever. And that's the site where ePack's more focused on trading cards and maybe UDA memorabilia, some collectible coins. On Collect Forever, you can pre-order comics there, and we've also got Funko Pops, and there'll be some other types of collectibles hitting that site eventually. But anything that you purchase on Collect Forever, you can, if it's a physical item like one of our Michael Jordan Funkos, you can have that shipped directly to you, like a traditional kind of e-commerce site, just direct ship. Or the unique aspect of it is you can purchase that Funko and have it transferred over to ePack, and have it vaulted, have it stored. They come slabbed, which is pretty amazing. It protects the Funko, keeps it in pristine condition and uncirculated. And then on the ePack side, you can trade it for cards, you can trade it for memorabilia. It really opens up the avenues of how you can interact with those collectibles. So that's a really cool aspect of it. And then with the comic books, you can pre-order those as if you were going to pre-order them from basically any other online shop. So almost all your Marvel titles, almost all your DC titles month to month, those will pop up on Collect Forever. You can pre-order them on the site, and then they transfer over to your ePack collection. And then once the physical comics come in, we soft slab those. So we actually, kind of like a hard slab when you get something graded. This is more, something probably closer to a card saver type feel. It's not quite hard like a top loader, but it's not as soft and flimsy as a penny sleeve if we're thinking about it in trading card terms. It comes with that. It comes with the unique tag that identifies that comic, pretty similar to what you see with grading, with the title and the fun facts and all the information. And then that comic, once physical, is now in your ePack collection, where you can trade it with other collectors. You can ship it home, or you can just leave it in your collection. Just opening up a lot of different avenues for collectors to not only get trading cards on ePack, but pick up comic books and other collectibles on Collect Forever. and then they all kind of merge and can be interacted with on the same ecosystem. So that's, the big facet of it. You can also, depending on which title it is, which comic book you're purchasing, there's chances at random variant covers as well. So in trading card terms, you can kind of think of that as like looking for the hits, the ratioed cards. So if there shows up that there's a variant somewhere, maybe it's a 1 in 11 or 1 in 25 odds, you have the potential to pull one of those rare variant comics, paying the same price you would for the base comic, and having that swap in. So that's pretty cool. It gives people an opportunity to pick up some rare comic variants that you can only get as a dealer incentive. You may have to purchase, directly from a shop or find it on the secondary market. But on Collect Forever, you can actually pull one of those as your hit, rather than one of the base versions.
So a lot of parallels there between buying it online and then having that option to either have those physically shipped to you or having them kind of merge into the ePack ecosystem to trade amongst all of the other ePack products. Is there any digital only components with that, or is that one of the differences, that all of the Collect Forever items or the products on Collect Forever are all physical?
Yeah, Collect Forever is strictly physical. So even if it shows up like physical pending because it's a digital pre-order comic, you're buying it before it's actually printed and shipped. Eventually, it's going to become a physical item that you can ship home to yourself, or you can trade amongst the other.
Who does the storage and fulfillment for the Collect Forever products?
That's done by another partner we have out in Pennsylvania.
So that's not also at ComC or anything like that. It's a separate partner that does the Collect Forever fulfillment and storage.
Yeah, those items are all handled and accounted for separately. That's why there's no transfer to ComC option with those.
Very cool. What else do you want us to know about ePack and the other direct-to-consumer products that are available at Upper Deck?
That's a great question. I think just, take a look at ePack, get a feel for it. I think if you've got any questions, reach out. But I think the biggest thing is just, if you're not already on the site, take a look at it, read more information about it, and get acclimated with it, especially with the physical component. I think that's what holds a lot of people back from signing up for the site or really digging into it, is the unfamiliarity of working with a site that's digital, but it's got the physical connection. That's been a little difficult to grasp at times, especially with everything going on in the NFT digital collectible space as of late. So, that's a big aspect. And then just as we look forward, there's tons of different products that are going to be hitting ePack, a lot of unique products on the hockey side, on the entertainment side, just a lot to look forward to. So if you are an ePack, that's, it's an exciting time. We're going to have a lot of great products coming on some that you've seen before that are repeat year over year, and some new products that'll be really exciting. We're always working to make it a better site too. So trying to include new functionality based on customer feedback. We're always reviewing that and reading that and determining what we can do best to make the site a better place, whether that's incorporating new functionality that we didn't have before, making improvements to existing functionality, or taking ideas and concepts that some of our collectors have that make it easier to collect, and finding a way to get that on the site. So definitely appreciate everyone that's been on the site for, since the beginning, and new collectors as well. It's always exciting to see them hop on, but I think you've got a lot to look forward here in the next year as we continue to grow the platform, grow Collect Forever, and add, a host of new products and new types of products.
One thing that I don't think we've actually mentioned the whole time is, where do you actually go to find these ePack cards and the Collect Forever cards? I don't think we actually ever mentioned the website itself. So let people know where they can go to learn more and find all of these ePack and Collect Forever items that we've talked about.
Yeah, you can go to www.upperdeckepack.com. You can read around on that site and then sign up. And once you signed up, you've also got access to Collect Forever. Really easy to switch between the two sites. Up on the left-hand side, just click on Collect Forever, click on ePack, and you can browse around, open your free pack. Really awesome part of ePack is every day you get a free pack of cards, and you can choose from some of our different hockey offerings and some other non-sport offerings like Goodwin Champions. Get those free digital cards added to your collection, start engaging on the site, and then check out some of the other products we've got, and really just dive into ePack. Cool.
Well, Daniel, I really appreciate you spending a few minutes today talking about Upper Deck and talking about the ePack and other direct-to-consumer items. So thanks again, Daniel.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me again.